Hello, everybody. How you all doing? So, some alarming developments have happened, and we'll take a look at it on the screen first, because this is from the Daily Telegraph that's actually reporting on this. So they're saying this. So the Telegraph are reporting a plot by Palestine Action to organise a mass demonstration to overwhelm police and the criminal justice system, following their prescription as a terrorist organisation and to force a government U-turn. Starmer's week equals government chaos on our streets. So that's what's going to happen. They've got this planned for Saturday, I believe. Now, this isn't going to be a peaceful protest. This is going to be civil unrest, because these people are prescribed terrorists. Now, this is planned for up and down the country. This is designed to overwhelm our police forces. And it's going to be interesting to see how they handle this. Are they going to go in full on riot gear with horses, round them up, arrest everybody as an example? Or are they going to have kid gloves and just let them do the protest? Are they going to back down? I fully expect Sadiq Khan to back down in London and just to let them do whatever they want to do, because London is lost. That's what I expect from London. Maybe Manchester too. But things are looking very bleak right now. It really does. This could be the thing that triggers a civil war in this country. I think what's happened is Palestine Action have seen the mass protests up and down the country by patriots. They've seen the mass protests outside the illegal immigrant hotels, and now they've decided to make their move. This could be their move. Doing this could make or break the country. Yeah, I know, Jack. Civil war is already here. We've been in a cold civil war since Keir Starmer got into power, but this is the spark that could ignite into armed conflict, which we don't particularly want, really. I don't think Keir Starmer's got the bottle or the nerve to do this, because if he starts arresting Muslims en masse on the streets, then the whole Muslim population is going to kick off. They're going to riot, and that's what he's going to be scared of. This is what could trigger everything. And let's not forget the conveniently placed new arrivals all around the country as well. It would be like Saturday when the plod turned up in number 2 uniform, where they should have been in full fireproofs. Not, but they weren't, but still Epping with full number 1s. Exactly. I don't think they fully appreciate what's going to happen on Saturday. This is going to be an education and maybe a rude awakening for our establishment. Maybe they just don't care. Maybe they just don't care. But this development is very worrying, because these people are organized. This isn't an angry mob. These people are organized, they have tactics, and they know what they're doing. This is what I was talking about in my last videos when I've talked about civil war. Eventually, the police are going to face a group of people that are just as tactically minded as they are. And it doesn't matter if the police go in and kick in the doors of the leaders of Palestine Action. If they're set up like terror cells, they're in real trouble. Because what will happen is, if one leader gets arrested, 2 more will pop up somewhere else to start running things. This is how they're set up. This is what's being ignored for all these years. They will have set up their organization to be able to keep going, even when maybe some of the top leadership has been arrested. They will have lieutenants that know how to run things, and they will just switch. This will just be exactly like terror cells. When one terror cell is shut down, another one pops up to take up the slack, and they'll be all over the country. And the police force in its current state, they won't keep up with them. They can't even keep track. And anybody brings up MI5 or MI6, they can't even keep track of illegal immigrants in our country. They've lost track of countless thousands on the terror watch list. They don't know where they are. Everything that people, that myself and others have been warning about, is coming to pass. I would urge any patriots to stay away from this. Just stay away from this completely, in my opinion. I haven't seen anything from Paul. I'm going to check his channel out and see if he's done his video. Normally, if anybody's mentioned me in a video, it pops up in my link so I can check it, but I haven't heard anything yet. Don't forget, he's got to wait until 8 o'clock today to set up his camera and stuff. So, yeah, I'm expecting probably something tomorrow in that regard. But back to the subject in hand. These people are well funded as well. These people are funded from Saudi Arabia, Qatar, that sort of thing. These people are well funded. They have outside backing and funding as well, which is scary. Very, very scary. Time will tell. I mean, this could all just be a misdirection. Who knows? Who knows what could happen? Seeing as you're now being revealed as MI5, who do you think? I think they lose so many because they're incompetent, Daz. They're absolutely incompetent. Don't forget that our intelligence services have also been compromised by wokeness and diversity, equity, and inclusion hires. Basically, people that can't do the job. That's why we've lost. I think it's at last estimate, what I was looking at anyway, this was from a few years ago, that anything up to 47,000 potential terrorists have been mislaid by our intelligence services. They simply don't know where they are anymore, which should scare the absolute shit out of everybody, really. We are funding it as well as they get money on a weekly basis and working for the money. Yeah, exactly. Police won't arrest them as there's no way to lock them up. Exactly. Well, this is why they're doing it. They want to overwhelm the system. If you think if well over 1 million people come out, and that could happen, if well over 1 million Islamists decide to come out onto streets all over the country in support of Palestine action, what are they going to do with them? They can't arrest them all, can they? I think it's inevitable what's going to happen in this country. We are well on the way. And I think anybody worrying about what's going to happen in 4 years' time in the next general election, that's pointless in my opinion. I keep saying it's pointless. Shouldn't be worrying about that. You should be worrying about what's happening now, right now in this country, because it's all happening now. The battle for this country is being fought now, today. The battle is ongoing. And this is why I've got such an issue with party politics. You've only got to look at my video from yesterday. It was so divisive. Everybody in the comments was so angry and arguing. Everybody was angry at me because I made a criticism about a certain party. And it's like, look at yourselves. Look at how divided you are. Just from me being not barely that being hard, being critical towards it, really. But they were so angry in the comments. And that's how divisive party politics is. And to me, looking at it now, it's just another form of control. I agree with Dino Bain. I think the days of party politics are coming to an end. I think people eventually are just going to start voting for independence, independent individuals locally who basically align with what they believe in. I think that's what's going to start to happen. But going back to Palestine Action, it's a bold move. And this is what's been building up to. They've been planning for this. Look at all the marches they've been doing. They've been out every single week. You can't knock their dedication. They are dedicated. And they're driven through one ideology. And that ideology is Islam. It drives them. It unites them as one, especially against their enemies. It is a divided and fractured religion. But the one thing they do is they unite against their common enemy all the time. No doubt once they defeated their common enemy, which is us, they'll start fighting among themselves. And then you'll have countless tribal wars going on as they bay for power. That's what's going to happen. I watched Lotus Eaters. Mr. H Reviews was doing a segment on the Lotus Eaters, and he put into some AI program stats and statistics, and basically the AI came out with scenarios, best case scenario, middle ground scenario, and worst case scenario. None of them were particularly great for the indigenous people of this country. Everything more or less led to sectarian, religious, ethnic conflict everywhere. That's where we're heading. Anyone can form a network of 10 or 15 independent people broadly on the same bus. And that, yeah, it was you who suggested it, wasn't it, Daz? And I'm coming to your way of thinking now, mate. I think that's the way forward. I think party politics is just too tribalistic. It's way too tribalistic. And instead of solving issues, I just think it creates more problems than it solves, in my honest opinion. I think you're going to have to go local. You're going to have to go with independent people that you can talk to, that you can physically go and have a meeting with and discuss your opinions and your concerns in your local area. I think that's the way politics in this country is going to go eventually, because we've been let down so many times by so many different parties. We really have. That's why I question why the English people are fighting. Especially when we really agree with each other. Broadly, everybody agrees. Right, let's look at all these little parties. They're all saying exactly the same thing. They all are. They're all saying exactly the same thing. They agree with each other on everything, their policies and everything. All these little parties agree. The only thing people disagree about is who's going to get into power. And to me, it's ridiculous. I can take a step back and see how ridiculous it is. I really can. It's like they're all saying the same thing. They all want controlled immigration and a stop to illegal immigration. They all want to protect our culture and our society. So why in hell can't they all just get together and unite and fight as one common cause? Come together and unite. But it's the same argument when I say this constantly, when I say they need to unite. What do they say? They say, well, why can't this party join with our party? Why can't that party join with that party? Does it really matter who joins with who? Just so long as it happens. I don't care. All I want to see is unity amongst the political wing, because inevitably they're the people that are going to have to pick up the pieces if there is a civil war. They're the ones that are going to have to rebuild this country, and they're going to be no good to us if they're constantly fighting among each other. We needed a united right that is ready to step in and pick up the pieces after the current shower of shit has completely destroyed the country, which is what we're heading towards at this present moment in time. They're arguing over who's going to get into power in 4 years' time. And the thing is, it might not even happen at this point. The way things are going. I mean, Dr. David Betts, the guy that was talking about civil war in this country and how it's going to happen, I think his estimations were way off. He was talking about 5 years. I think it's going to happen within the next year. Things are that bad in this country. Keir Starmer just keeps doubling down on everything that he's doing. He's working faster and faster with his progress and his agenda. And things are getting worse. They're not getting better. That's right, Steve. That's exactly right. They all want to be commander-in-chief. They all agree on absolutely everything. All of them. Whether it's Advanced UK, whether it's UKIP, whether it's, I don't even class Reform. Reform are controlled opposition, so we'll not count them anymore. They're not even in the mix. But Britain First, you know, even the Homeland Party, the other party that I got mentioned the other day, the Constitution Party, you've got David Cotain, you've got, what's the one, the Reclaim, you've got Heritage. They all agree. They all agree on policy across the board about absolutely everything. It's just the egos that are in charge of those parties. They all want to be the ones calling the shots. And that's no good to us. It's no good to us at all, that sort of mentality or that thinking. It really isn't. We needed a united right to sort this country out. We really do. Whoever does get in really better not fail us. It will end true democracy in the UK. Yeah, my issue is, right, this is my issue with party politics and voting for a party, is that, yes, it's getting them into Parliament, but then once they're in Parliament, they're not only going to be fighting the globalist-controlled Parliament, because that's what it is. They're going to be fighting the globalist-controlled Parliament who are taking their orders from the globalists. They've then got to take on the civil service. They've got to be a really strong party that gets in there. Reform isn't that party. They're not strong enough to do that. They're the Tory Wets 2.0. They'll just cave and U-turn and take their orders from the globalists. That's what they will do. They won't deliver on anything that they promise. That's why we need a truly strong right-wing party, probably made up of, you know, the best out of all those other parties I mentioned, the best of them. And they all need to work together for the better of this country. They all talk the talk. They all say, we want to save this country. We want to save the heritage. We want to do what's right by the people. Well, in that case, then unite. Unite as one. If you want to do the best for the people, unite as one force against our enemies. That's what you need to do. Because until you do that, nobody will believe you. Nobody will believe you that that's your true intentions, because you're constantly putting yourselves before the country. And I can't get behind anybody that puts themselves before the country. I can't. They all walk the walk now, and they all talk the talk. But actions to me speak louder than words. That's the way I feel about that. That's why I don't hold any hope out for party politics, because it's too tribalistic. They all fight amongst themselves because they're all fighting over power, who's best. And it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant in this current situation. They need to unify and fight as one. That's my message, and that will always be my message. What are you advocating then? I'm advocating for unity. That's what I want. No way could the likes of Tenconi, Habab, Golding, Cotain, as it work together and agree with one of the others being in charge. Not exactly. Exactly. That's why I don't hold any hope out for a political solution. I know lots of people are desperate out there. I know lots of people want me to be more positive in my videos, but I can't, because I can see it just like you can, Daz. I can see that these people won't work together because their egos won't allow them to, unfortunately. You actually need quiet doers rather than egos. Small independent groups of competent people quietly working together. Exactly. I'm going to talk about another subject in a minute because this is really interesting. And again, this could be a trigger point for patriots, really. I'm going to have to be careful how I handle this one, but we'll look at it. The ones with the money in the game want a Zionist-friendly party, which could arguably send us back to square one, in my honest opinion. Lotus Eaters yesterday did, and yeah, this is what I was looking at yesterday. This is what I was talking about earlier. Lotus Eaters yesterday did an AI-based scenario for best and worst and more worst. All indicated UK is beyond saving under current trajectory. Exactly. We're beyond that point now. We're beyond the point of a political solution. We really are. People just don't realize it. Stop living big old online e-footprints and start chatting with your locals. Exactly. That's where our strongest is, guys. That's where we are strongest, is in community. Local communities. Strong local communities. That's where our power always was. And very soon you'll be glad of communities. If you create communities, you're going to be glad because you need them. You're going to need your neighbours. You're going to need the people around you with what's coming. Really are. The problem with it, Ticconi, is that he bases politics on religion. He needs to focus on politics. What we're going to get right. This is something that I agree with. He needs to tone down the religious element. I know he's a Christian. That's all well and good, but we're not. This isn't the 1600s anymore. He's got to realise that Christianity in this country has declined a lot. It has. I know he wants to take us back to Christian values, and that's a noble thing to do. But he needs to kind of tone it down a bit with the Christianity, because that would appeal to more people. It really would. Not to worry when civil war does happen, as long as our side remains peaceful and respectful. Yeah, probably not good advice. Hey up, mate, how you doing? Definitely, Jack. Build communities. That's important. That's important for our survival of our culture and our nation, is our communities. We used to have really strong communities at one time. This is why, for the last, 50 or so years, the Marxists have spent huge amounts of time and huge amounts of money attacking community, destroying communities, trying to break down the nuclear family, because that's where our strength lies. They've been attacking our culture. They've been attacking our heritage. Basically, everything you do in the Marxist playbook, you demoralize a society. A demoralized society is easier to control. It's that simple. No, exactly. You don't have to be Christian to have Christian values. No, you don't. My dad, who is old, now bless him, told me he used to know everybody in his neighborhood. And they were, yeah, you know what? It wasn't that long ago. I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and you could walk down the street and everybody knew everybody. You could talk to your neighbours, they'd all, because you'd lived on that street all your life and everybody knew each other. You probably played with their daughters and their sons and stuff on the street. Everybody knew you. It was a community. You don't see that anymore now. Technology has come along and eroded that, because at one time kids would play out in the street together, and because kids were playing out in the street together, families would get to know each other and get together. That doesn't happen anymore now. I mean, it happens with my kids. My kids are on social media and on the huddles and iPads and computers 90% of the time. You have to. They're probably listening to this right now. I have to force them to go out and explore and get away from the technology a little bit. Yeah, my daughter will probably be rolling her eyes at me right now for saying that, but I'm pretty sure the war on pubs is you know what? Exactly the same thing. We think alike. I'm pretty sure the war on pubs is part of the same thing with community hubs. It's not just that, but what do Muslims not like a lot? Drinking. They don't like alcohol. They don't like dogs. Eventually, you're going to see a clamp down on dogs as well as pub. I think that's why they've tried to shut the pubs down completely, because they don't like that part of our culture and it offends them. Look at how many pubs have actually been turned into mosques since they shut down. It's all about the Islamification of Britain. Everything. When they go out and pray in the street, when they've got mosques, that's a show of force. That's to show Islamic dominance. Right, I'll show you this. This is probably going to anger some people now, but I think it needs to be shown. So I came across this story yesterday. So I've been waiting for more information to come out about this. I was going to do a separate video about it, but Tommy Robinson says here, a young Englishman has been found dead in police custody after being arrested outside a migrant hotel. His family believe foul play, allegedly. Keep your eyes on this. They'll try to bury it fast. The world is watching. So I'm going to read you out a statement from this family in a minute. Try and get it on the screen. Right, so this is from the get it up. So put it on screen now. This is a statement from the family. This looks very, very serious. I'm looking for it on my phone so I can read it out on my phone because I can't read that. That's way too small. But we'll read it out. Bear with me, guys. Right, so here we go. I think this is what his mum put. She put this. My beautiful boy Ellis has sadly passed away this morning at 07:20 a.m. Me and his sister, Sarah Lee Rocks, got to spend the last 52 hours of his life at his side and held his hands as he took his last breath. Nothing can fix this pain we feel as a family, and it's something that could have been avoided. To avoid speculation and malicious rumours, my son was arrested and in police custody at the time. And an event occurred where only we know as a family and our close friends. There has been an investigation started already yesterday, and 2 police officers have been served papers. The cameras do not lie. We have been made aware this is going to be released in the press, as it's now classed as a major investigation. Due to severity of negligence from GMP Wigan, we have our own investigation team who are in touch with us every step of the way to find justice for my son, Ellis Rocks, and to make sure this never happens to anyone else's child again. We ask as a family to give us space to grieve. We are broken as a family. We cannot thank the paramedics who attended Ellis enough. They are helping us with the inquiry as they seen firsthand the events that unfolded. May my little boy rest in peace, and we will fight for justice till the day we die. So, that isn't looking good, is it? I'm not going to speculate on anything about this for obvious reasons, but I think we can all read between the lines about what happened there. 2 police officers served papers. Shocking. that in itself, I'm not trying to incite anything here, but that in itself could trigger the country. It really could. When this comes out in the press, that's going to make people angry as hell. Respect for the police is already at an all-time low, if there is any more respect for the police. I don't really think there is any more, to be honest with you. And, you know, with the revelations that we had police officers taking part in the raping of young girls who were being raped during the Pakistani rape gang situation. How can we trust these people anymore? How can we give our consent to be policed by them? How can we? Hang on a minute. Right, John. What do you want to know? What happened? We don't know what happened. The family said in the statement that they're keeping what happened to themselves for the time being, because obviously there's an investigation going on. I'm not going to speculate on anything about the situation. I've just read out their statement. I'm not going to speculate on it or anything like that. But we can all read between the lines about what's actually happened there. And for 2 police officers to be served with papers, which probably means they've been suspended or they've been charged with an offence, then hang on, Steve is coming out with it, so we'll see what Steve's got to say about it. He's our expert. Serve papers normally doesn't happen that quick, but GMP have always had a very poor rep. GMP was special measures up to 2 years ago. Yeah. So if they've been given, so can you explain, Steve, what being served papers actually means to police officers, so people can understand what's actually happening? I'll post your comment when you type it. But yeah, the men of this company will have to take responsibility when the police lose control. Exactly. I'm taking it you mean country. I do that all the time. My comments are atrocious. You know, the autocorrect is awful. I've got this AI autocorrect on my phone, and, you know, it's constantly doing stupid shit like that. Vindicator, I've spoken to Paul Thorpe on camera on his last live stream, and I've told to say this to Ben Nabib, and that's for Advance UK to merge. Yeah, okay. Okay, Jack. Yeah, country. Just waiting for Steve's response, because I want to know what them being. I'm kind of understand it's probably right. Let's have a look. Generally, way back in my day, suspended meant one thing, but if this poor woman have used the right term, it means a formal charge. So that's not looking good, is it? So it'd be like us, wouldn't it? You get a formal charge, served papers. So whatever they've done is pretty bad. Like I said, we can all probably read between the lines about what's actually happened here. I wish they stopped saying the left support Islam. That's why Corbyn lost the election against Boris. The left turned against Islam then, and still is. Don't listen to so-called Labour Party. No, Labour Party. No, the thing is, right, everybody assumes that the Labour Party is the left wing of politics. They're not. They're the far left of politics. Socialists hate classical liberals. They do. They masquerade as classical liberals, but they hate them. They hate everybody that isn't them, because you're not extreme enough in their eyes. Anybody to the right of Stalin is an enemy in their eyes. That's what you have to imagine. So there are quite a lot of people on the left who the Marxists hate too, who will label as far right. Yeah, I think it's important we get this out there, because people need to know what's going on. Police officers can be served papers only to tell them that there is an investigation active. Right, okay. But by the looks of things, it looks open and shut, because she said cameras don't lie, so they must have the camera footage of the cells as well to back them up. You should all join the Woodland Initiative. Okay. Don't know what that is. The shame is there are too many broken communities these days. I'm lucky I live in a small village tucked away out of the way. Eventually it's going to reach everywhere though. Even those small little tucked away villages are going to feel the effects of what's happening in this country. You won't be able to hide from it. Oh no, communism was, they were doing the same things the Nazis were, the communists. Gulags, work camps, concentration camps in Siberia, where they put political dissidents and enemies of the state. They were just as bad, if not worse, than the Nazis, because they were allowed to continue, weren't they? They continued for years disappearing people. KGB was basically just another offshoot of the Gestapo. It was exactly the same. It was doing exactly the same thing the Gestapo was doing. Looking out, it wasn't detecting crime. It was looking out for anybody that was speaking out against the state. If you spoke out against the state, oh, you disappeared, gone, Siberia, never to be seen again. This is why I don't understand. You see, I don't understand why, when both ideologies really should be condemned. You know, Nazism and communism are two sides of the same coin. Both ideologies should be condemned, and yet we have people in this country walking up and down the streets with the Soviet flag, thinking they're some kind of heroes, when the reality is that flag represents the death of thousands, if not millions of people. Red Terror, read Gulag. Yep. They were horrific, terrible places. Salt mines, work in the salt mines until you died. Exactly. And we all know who those people are who are willing to sign up, don't we? Serve papers means they've been cautioned, so charged pending investigation, as in not obliged to say anything and suspended. Right, okay. Always puzzled me how communism gets a good intentions defense when it's just as bad. Pol Pot was an absolute lunatic. Yeah, look at this. Is what I don't understand, right? Yeah, this is why they've got this like mental gymnastics, this cognitive dissonance when they talk about, you know, far left issues, when they're talking about gay rights and all this kind of stuff. You know, if you look at Cuba, the Cuban regime was just as bad as Islamics. They would put homosexuals in prison, they'd throw them off buildings, they'd hang them. They're awful, terrible places. This is what I love about this, like, queers for Palestine. Yeah, you try and spend a day in Palestine saying that you're actually queer. Yeah, see how long you last. It won't be very long. I suggested, I said, you know, I was hoping that the Egyptians would actually allow those people from Wales who amassed in Leeds to go and walk to Gaza and allow them entry, because it would be a great education for them, because they wouldn't last 5 minutes. Yep, no, absolute nut job. Yeah, this is an argument I always use, because the communists always make out that these are utopian societies, and it's like, if communist socialist societies are like a utopia, why the hell do Cubans try and make makeshift rafts to drift 90 miles to Florida or Miami to escape it through shark-infested waters and the risk of drowning? If it's such a utopia, why do they do that? And another great example, this isn't my quote, this is somebody else's quote, and I saw this on Twitter the other day, because he was arguing against the communists, and he was saying, Which side of the Berlin Wall did the people rush to when the wall came down? And that's a great example. It's like nobody rushed to the eastern side of the Berlin Wall, did they? Nobody tried to escape to East Germany during the Berlin Wall. And when that was up, it was everybody from the east trying to escape to the west for obvious reasons. But that's something that doesn't compute with these people. They can't compute that. Because they've been brainwashed. They've been brainwashed to think that living in a communist society is utopian. You get to do everything you want to do. You get to sit in a field with flowers and rainbows and read poetry and do art. When the reality is that the state will come along because they don't recognize you as an individual. You're just part of the machine. You don't have any individuality in communism. It's kind of like the Borg from Star Trek. You lose all individuality. You're expendable. You're just a part that can be used up and spent and then chucked away when you die. And there's somebody else to replace you. That's how they think. So all those people who think it's going to be utopian society where they can create art and write books and poetry, that's not the reality. The state will come up to you and drag you off to a mine and say, this is your designation now. You're going to do a 16-hour shift down in the mine. That's your life from now on, because the state dictates to you what you do. Oh, and by the way, all those things that you spent your lifetime owning, your savings, your houses, that all now belongs to the state. We're taking it because they don't believe in property ownership. Gone. So that's their utopian society. If people, I see this a lot on Twitter, people say to me, what would, they have these tweets saying, what would you wish for if you had one wish? My wish would be to teleport all these loony lefties to the middle of a communist regime and let them live the life of a communist and see how quickly they convert to being non-communist, to being a revolutionary against communism. And it'll be fairly quick. It'll be a fairly quick education. Remember, Stalin had a gulag for engineers and scientists. The yak fighters were developed in gulag. Yeah. Or said it's a privileged class who get to paint and abstract art and write, okay, like the pigs in Animal Farm. Exactly. Some people are more equal than others. Because when the thing that these idiots feel, because obviously the champagne socialist college teachers and university lecturers, they'll teach these kids that, oh yeah, it's going to be utopian society. It's going to be absolutely amazing under communism. And the reality is completely and utterly different to what they're selling it as. It's like, no, there'll be a privileged class and then there'll be you doing all the manual labor. Yep, they are. Definitely. They're wearing rose-tinted glasses, definitely. And that comes on. Oh, that's it. They're wearing rose-coloured glasses. Yeah, they don't see it. The thing is, as they get older, as they get a family, they will realise that what they believed when they were younger was pure bullshit. Think about why Palestine Action is now doing this. Think why Patriots are organising to do the same. This is what I said earlier. For all those that are late to the stream, this is what I said earlier. I think that Palestine Action and the Islamists have seen the Patriot marches that have basically grown over the last few weeks. They've amassed. I mean, that one in Manchester was absolutely massive by Britain First. It was huge. And then you've got to add all the massive protests that have happened outside the illegal immigrant hotels. And this has probably made them nervous. They think, holy shit, our enemies are organising as well now. And this is probably what's prompted them to to take this action. They're trying to show that they can do the same. It's a show of strength. So now they're going to come out on Saturday and try and overwhelm the police. That's their plan of action. And can you really see Starmer and co coming down hard on these people? Because I can't. I can't at all. He's too weak. His little tiny sphincter in his arse will be twitching at the very thought of coming down hard on Palestine action, because he knows that if he does, then other Muslim communities around the country will most likely come out in support, and then all hell breaks loose, basically. Now, I know commies around here. They are 80 years old and still say, if only gave Jeremy... Yeah. And it's myth have been peaceful. Exactly. Look at how the Patriots at Epping dealt with them when that massive crowd of leftists came up chanting their obscenities and their usual chants at them. What did they do? The Patriots there laughed at them and just sang songs. So they came there for half an hour and they were so humiliated, they turned tail with their tail between the legs, and they went home. They were there for half an hour at the most. Most of them had probably come from all over the country because that's where they were busting through. They were absolutely humiliated. All the protests have been peaceful. Now, I did see this. I saw, and he was apologetic afterwards. All credit to him. Has anybody seen Autistic Audits? I think his first channel got terminated, so it's Autistic Audits 2. He's a good guy. Obviously, he's got autism, but he's a good guy. I watch all his live streams. I think he's one of the best streamers out there because he doesn't give much of an opinion. He's fairly calm and collected, which is what I like. He's not goading anybody. He's just, giving them what they give him back. But he went to the Britain First march and he tried to go down and record the people that were going to be taking part in the protest. And he was approached by a gentleman because Autistic Audits wears a mask. And this guy came up to him and said, "You can't go down there, mate. You're wearing a mask." And for obvious reasons, they don't want infiltrators getting in there. It's the same reason why Tommy Robinson doesn't allow anybody in a mask at his rallies. It's to stop infiltrators getting in there and causing trouble. Anybody comes to your protest wearing a mask, ask them to take them off, because they're most likely going to be agitators or government plants. Just ask them to take the masks off. If they've got nothing to fear, they shouldn't be wearing a mask. I fully understand why Autistic Audits wears a mask, and he explained to the guy, he says, "Look, if I take this mask off, these people are going to know who I am. They threaten my life," because they will have. They will have threatened his life. I know most likely they have. He's had threats and stuff like that. And if they find out who he is, they can find him in real life, and then he's in danger. I fully get why some auditors wear masks. I do get it. I've had death threats myself, so I know where they're coming from. If you want to protect your family and people that are indirectly involved with you, that aren't involved in what you do, you need, these people wear masks. But I would say that if you're going to go to a well-organized protest, you don't need a mask, because they should have security on the outside, and they will stop anybody getting into the crowd that will do you harm. But yeah, he had an argument with the guy who stopped him. He was saying, "Well, he's gonna be, if you stop me, it's assault." And it's like, no, mate, he's doing it for their own good. I understood why the guy stopped him, wouldn't let him in with a mask. It's like, he's probably got orders or instructions to say, "Look, anybody tries to get in here with a mask, tell them to take it off, or they're not coming down." And in the end, Autistic Audits, he came around, he understood why he was doing it. He explained who he was, he showed him his channel, and the guy was awesome. He came back and said, "Look, if you come again, I know who you are, and I'll let you past." So yeah, that's why that happened. And I was going to write a comment, it's like, mate, he's doing it because it was live. It's like, he's doing it because he's trying to protect the people in the march, so it doesn't get infiltrated and people turn violent. I could see both sides of the story. I could understand why they were both frustrated. But yeah. Yeah, but if you go to a march, you don't need to wear a mask. That's why I don't wear a mask. I don't wear a mask anywhere. You know, I show my face. Yeah, it's put me in danger, but I'd rather be put in danger than wear a mask and be like them, because I'm not like them. I can show my face. I will stand toe to toe with them and tell them how I feel about them. Face uncovered. What you see is what you get, type of thing. And I've done that. I've counter protested them on my own, as you can see from my channel. I've counter protested them on my own. I've been out in the street when Antifa has been knocking about at the Nottingham protest. Doesn't bother me. If they want to come at me, they can come at me. Just look at how pathetic they look with the masks on. Look at the Hamas cosplayers, as Charlie Beats would call them. They look crazy because they try to be intimidating, but the majority of them are vegans and they look like they need a good sandwich. You know, I could snap them in two. The guy with the dog who was trying to harass that lady in Nottingham, where I had to intervene, it's like could have snapped him in two. It's pathetic. But you have to be smart. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to goad you into doing something, because the police weren't going to arrest him. They got no interest in him. They saw that he was harassing that woman, but they didn't do anything. They were waiting for me to start something, and then they would have had me on the floor and taken me away. That's what they were waiting for. So all I could do was get in between him and her, and then he walked off like the little pathetic little man he was, and I got off a few cutting remarks as he was walking away. Notes coming here. How do you know a vegan's a vegan? Oh, don't worry, he'll tell you. Exactly. Every single time, mate. Every single time. It's like it's some kind of, it makes it, they think it makes them special. It's like, I'm a vegan, really? Okay. Starmer's not a vegan. He loves the sausage. He loves the sausage, and it's not vegan sausage either. It's always on his mind. Look at when he made that misstep when he was talking about the Israeli hostages, when he said set the sausages free. You know what sausages he wanted setting free? Some Ukrainian models sausages. Is that what he wanted to set free? I think it was. Vindicated. Do you think Sadiq Khan will get thrown out of office? I don't think he will. Whatever, it's just London voting for the London mayor, he will remain in power because the Muslims will block vote. I love Ant Middleton. But he's not going to get into London mayor. Not a chance. Not with the amount of Muslims there are in London. That they'll just vote for their own. It's block voting. That's why Sadiq Khan has always got into power. I wonder how many of our establishment are cokeheads. All of them. I would say quite a few of them. That's a good one, Steve. Does anyone think Starmer has been to Cottages Cove? Wouldn't that be funny if Charlie Veach was going down there and he got Starmer on camera with his pork sausage up somebody's shitty tunnel? That'd be quite amazing, wouldn't it? I wonder if he loitered with the gents with Tony. This is what I find hilarious, right? Because the pantomime that is Parliament, they all jeer and laugh and sneer at each other in Parliament. They have arguments with each other, and then it's like the bell rings, and it's like they all go to the taxpayer subsidised bar that's in the Palace of Westminster, and they all laugh and joke at our expense and think how stupid the electorate is. Look at they have lavish meals that are paid for by us. They have lavish expense accounts, all paid for by us. Nice big gravy train. Right, I just banned that guy from the chat because he's talking about patriotic alternative. I've been through this, but this is my one rule. If you promote groups like that in the chat, you will get banned. Because it's not just the comment, it's what YouTube will do to this channel. They will take this channel down. Any excuse to take this channel down. They monitor the chat. I've noticed several times that above the comment section, and this only appears when there's some controversial comments that have been removed, it was saying, remember, be respectful in the comments and all that kind of stuff. It appears when there's been some kind of argument going on in the comments that they've deleted. But you have to think, guys, and use your common sense that posting that kind of stuff in the chat can get this channel banned, because YouTube is fickle. It doesn't care. It will use guilt by association if I allow it. So please don't promote any far right groups or far left groups in the chat. Anything other than that is fine. You can debate to your heart's content about things in the chat. I've got no problems, but please don't promote extremist groups, any extremist groups in the chat, because that will just get you banned. That's the new rule, Steve. That's the new rule. Thanks for subscribing. Welcome to the war. Thanks for subscribing, buddy. Hope you like the content. But yeah, I think that's a fairly common sense policy. I don't ban anybody for anything other than that. It's like debate all you like in the chat, but don't start promoting. Yeah, he was going on about patriotic alternative, about how great they were and stuff like that. So he's gone. It's like, no. You know, I believe in your free speech. You can say that, but just not in my chat, because it will get my channel banned. I don't agree with you, but you can say it. You know, you just have to take in consideration what you're saying. That's all. People are under the misconception that YouTube is a free speech site like X. It isn't. They come down hard on anything they believe to be right wing. Anybody right wing. Look at Tommy Robinson, how his channel was quarantined for years. My channel was shadow banned for years. I couldn't even find it in the search. It's only just changed recently. I'm not going too much about it, but just don't do it, guys. It puts the channel at risk. The police asked me if I was going to join any far-right groups. I asked him if he knew any. Nice one. Like that. Right, guys. So Mike, basically, to continue about this, I'll just cover it again for people that have come in that don't realise what's going on. This come on the screen. So what's happened is a young Englishman has been found dead in police custody after being arrested outside a migrant hotel. His family believe foul play, allegedly. Keep your eyes on this. They'll try and bury this fast. The world is watching. So this is what this is about. I'll read it again just to put it out there. Get it up again. But I think it's important people understand what this has happened and keep an eye on things like this. So this is from, I believe this is his mother who wrote this. So she wrote this. This is about the guy, so it's on screen now. This is about the young lad that died in police custody. I believe he was 26. So My beautiful boy Ellis has sadly passed away this morning at 07:20 a.m. Me and his sister, Sasha Lee Rocks, got to spend the last 52 hours of his life at his side and held his hand as he took his last breath. Nothing can fix the pain that we feel as a family, and it's something that could have happened, that could have been avoided. To avoid speculation and malicious rumours, my son was arrested and in police custody at the time, and an event occurred where only we know as a family and our close friends. There has been an investigation started already. Yesterday, 2 police officers have been served papers. The cameras do not lie. We have been made aware that this is going to be released to the press, as it's now classed as a major investigation. Due to the severity of the negligence of Greater Manchester Police, Wigan, we have our own investigation team who are in touch with us every step of the way to find justice for my son, Ellis Rocks, and to make sure this never happens to anyone's child again. We ask as a family to give us space to grieve. We are broken as a family. We cannot thank the paramedics who attended to Ellis enough. They are helping us with the inquiry as they seen firsthand the events that have unfolded. May my little boy rest in peace, and we will fight for justice till the day we die. So that's that. Yeah. Was Charles Linton the man who picked up? I don't know. I don't know anything about that. Right, guys. So I think on that note, I'm going to end the stream. Thanks, everybody, for coming along. We've had quite a few people coming. This is probably the most I've had in for a long time. It is at 130 people watching. So thanks for coming on. Yeah, I had to hold back I was getting a little bit of a lump in my throat reading that the first time and the second time. But it gets to you. We're all human at the end of the day. We all feel the pain. This shouldn't be happening in our country. The police are supposed to be trusted. We're supposed to be able to trust them. And that trust is being sadly misplaced. And people are rapidly losing trust in the police. And it's unfortunate that we've fallen this far as a country, that we can no longer trust the people who are supposed to be there to protect us. Anyway, on that note, I'm going to end it, guys. This is Vindicator signing off.